us live on YouTube on Omanfm and on Facebook on Net 2 TVGH. Tune in to Omanfm in Kumasi for more maritime and port news. I am Nanesi Boateng. In our stories, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, GEPA, Dr. Efua Asabia Asari, has indicated that the consistent change of requirements and standards of the European Union market keep posing challenges and threatening competitiveness of the local exporters. Dr. Asari said her interaction with local exporters has shown a major problem they have is regular changes in standards of European Union export market segment, coupled with exporters' insufficient knowledge of the bloc and other external market. Speaking at the West African Competitiveness Program's Cluster International Conference in Accra, Dr. Asari explained that her outfit has moved to provide a solution to this challenge through regular and specific training about the EU market to Ghanaian exporters by using the authority's market hub. GEPA, she said, has been committed to increasing and strengthening Ghana's export competitiveness, and WACAM provides a stronger opportunity to further achieve an agenda that aligns with the country's export development strategy. Head of WACAM ECOWAS, Dr. Christian Kafando, said the program will continue to enhance the private sector's export capacity in West Africa and enhance competitiveness through production and consolidation to meet global standards. He said the cluster conference was an opportunity to contribute in knowledge sharing, networking, and sharpening collaborations among exporters in the region with a focus on the private sector. In other stories, a new report by the World Bank has revealed that Ghana's merchandise trade competitiveness declined over the decade from 2010 to 2019, resulting in reduction in number of exporting firms and level of participation in global value chains. Over the period, Ghana's overall trade performance has been worrying despite improvement in the country's trade balance, largely driven by the new hydrocarbon sector since 2010, as the contribution of trade to structural transformation remains negligible. The total percentage of trade to GDP declined to 48% in 2019 compared with 53% a decade before, reflecting less integration into the global market. The newly released Ghana Trade Competitiveness Diagnostic strengthened Ghana's trade competitiveness in the context of AFTA highlights that export growth was driven largely by the boom in the extractive sector, oil and gold. If you just joined us, you're listening to Maritime and Port News. The Ministry of Railway Development has noted that construction works on the Tema-Mpakadan railway line will be completed by the end of this year. The 97.6 kilometer Tema-Mpakadan railway production has faced various delays, of which COVID-19 was a major factor. Minister for Railway Development John Peter Amewo, after inspecting the Volta Rail Bridge, told the media he's hopeful that the project will be completed this year. The railway line begins from Tema in the Greater Accra region, passes through Afenya North Tong district in the Volta region, and ends at Mpakadan, a few kilometers from Akosombo. However, the minister assured that when completed, this will be able to help solve the heavy traffic between Afenya and Tema to help ease pressure of the road and make commuters comfortable. The Tema-Mpakadan rail line will link Ghana to Burkina Faso capital, Ouagadougou, from Tema and forms part of 1,000-kilometer Ghana-Burkina Faso rail interconnectivity project. In other stories, Congress will soon schedule a vote as early as next week on the Ocean Shipping Reform Act of 2022. With bipartisan support in both the House and Senate, the bill is likely to pass. The large overhaul of shipping regulation since 1998, the legislation broadens the regulatory powers of the Federal Maritime Commission with the goal of promoting U.S. export while reining in ocean carrier market power that has strengthened over the last 25 years, primarily through the rise of vessel alliance. The U.S. House of Representatives will consider the Senate's version of the legislation, which contains deadlines from key provisions, including rulemakings, studies, and report. According to the summary of those provisions, the FMC shall initiate a rulemaking further defining prohibited practices by common carriers, marine terminal operators, shippers, and ocean transportation intermediaries regarding the assessment of demurrage and detention charges. The rulemaking, which the FMC has already initiated, puts teeth into the FMC's interpretive rule on demurrage and detention, which shippers have alleged had not been adhered to by the carriers. Also, the deadline is not later than 45 days after the date of enactment, with the final rule not later than 1 year after the date of enactment. And finally, ocean carriers with a greater percentage of their business focus on the Asia and North America trades are likely to see the highest earnings in the second half of the year, according to Alpha Liner. Many service contracts on this trade lane, which are usually renewed in early May, have been concluded at rates which are not far below spot rates, as the consultants have noticed. Indeed, BCOs on the Trans-Pacific have been locked into new annual contracts at much higher rates, as evidenced by Zanate's crowdsourced May data for the U.S. import, which soared by 65% in the month, for a year-on-year gain of 205% as the new long-term contract came into force. On this note, we wrap up this morning's edition of Maritime and Port News. Maritime and Port News is proudly sponsored by the Ghana Shippers Authority. They provide you with the best in oil shipping solutions. Contact them at the Shippers House in Accra. My name is Nanesi Boateng, my producer, Kweko Boche. Have a great day.
Yenso kwa isuju medie hiamo membia ankanko. Edi Ghana, eko wiase ne di wiase so ba Ghana. Ghana Shippers Authority ani so ade hu ne se. Ye be bo nso so adwadifo. Ewo haw bia wonam mu. Efri no ma ayra. Di aseye tika yaji wa emfa kwan so. Eni haw ahodo pi. Ye nya adaje twe nso so adwadifo. Eno ma eko. Se de be ya wo beti ase. Ye ni so ade hu ne se. Ye be som Nia Sumpa, Ghana Shippers Authority, Ghana Shippers House, Ridge, Accra, Gapuha Towers, Tema, NCA Building, 12 Gardens, Chupe, Oakmas, Takradi Shippers Center, Takradi, Yamusa Building, Sansuna Gumbihini, Tamale, Yawo Complaints Unit, Elibu, Paga, Aflau Bona,